Over the years, so many people have asked me, when you're writing a book, where do you start? And my response is always the same, the beginning. Hi guys, welcome to another video. My name is Steve Whyte and I'm an author, and my writing journey started in 2010. Around that time I was going through a very difficult time in my life, and something within me took me online to post 5 simple words: I wish you better days. And although my life was not in a great place at this time, I found some comfort in sharing these words, hoping that someone would see it and not feel as bad as I did. Over time, these 5 words evolved and developed into quotes, which developed into paragraphs, which developed into blogs. And one day a friend of mine said to me, "You should write a book." And at this point, I had no idea, I had no clue where to start. And so what I did is went back online, went through every single tweet, every single blog, every single Facebook post, and copied and pasted everything I've ever posted into a Word document. And that was my first book. Needless to say, it wasn't a very good book, but just doing it itself was an accomplishment. And as the years went on, one book turned into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. And I started to really grasp the art of writing. At the time of making this video, I currently have 14 books, but the number is not as significant as people may think. It's more about the progression and the journey of my writing and all the little things that I didn't know in the beginning that I know now. And that's what I want to share with you today. 2020 was a rough year for a lot of people. A lot of people lost their lives, a lot of people lost their jobs, and a lot of people lost their freedoms, pretty much everyone. And I noticed a shift online where people were looking for things to do, and I think I read an article about how many books were written during lockdown, and I really love that people actually went and filled their time with something productive, learned that they had a new skill, and maybe for some of those people they enter into a new career path and walk of life. I can speak for me that I know that there are many benefits to writing, and hopefully that's why you're watching this today. The first one I can say is clarity. Writing is a tool that allows for organized thoughts. Oftentimes we're so much in our own heads and we don't get a moment to actually take what's in our minds and jot it down, whether it's in a journal or on a diary or in notes or a tweet. We have too much information going through our heads daily, and we don't allow a proper filing system to happen so that we don't feel overwhelmed. And I know that the clarity that comes from writing can be very, very therapeutic, and it can help many people to get through difficult times. The second benefit of writing is communication. It allows you to be able to explore new ways of communicating. You learn more, your vocabulary increases, and you become more confident in communicating to a variety of different people. This in turn will help our relationships to grow deeper, stronger, and not be so surface level. There's an element of reaching someone on a deeper level by actually communicating better how you feel, what your needs, what your values are, in a clear and concise way. And the third benefit that came to mind is gratitude. Just as I shared in my intro, my journey as a writer hasn't been linear, and it hasn't been the same at each stage on each book. There's been a clear growth, a growth in the tone of my writing, a growth in my understanding of structuring a book and developing characters and collaborating, and it's in written form, so the evidence is there. I can see my growth and my journey throughout my writing career, and there's so much gratitude that can be pulled from that experience of seeing and witnessing book 1 compared to book 14. I think writing a book starts with these 3 questions. Why do you want to do it? What are you going to write? And how do you want to communicate it? If you can answer those 3 questions, you'll get a better insight into if this is for you or not. And also it gives you a direction. I think it's very important to have some kind of structure before you go into any writing project. Some people like to write freely and whatever comes next, which is great. But I found that in more experienced writers, there is a clear plan, and then they have the freedom within their plan to go elsewhere, to allow inspiration to take a character in a certain direction. But having a plan and knowing why you're doing it, what you're doing and how you're going to do it is a great first step. Following on from these questions, I'd like to give you 4 strategic tips that can help you today. Number 1 is be consistent. I would say consistency has been the reason why I've been able to write this number of books. I set myself a very disciplined and dedicated time and space to write. And so at one point, my writing schedule was 3 hours per day, an hour and a half in the morning and an hour and a half in the evening. Now, I feel that that's quite extreme, but I know my dedication and my discipline levels that I could be consistent in that. You have to find a space that you know is achievable for you. So that might be 30 minutes a day. If you decide upon 30 minutes a day, then be very intentional and make sure that that's part of your day's plan. I would say book it in first. And so no matter what happens, you will not deviate from that plan. And 30 minutes a day, you will produce some great results. And the consistency will build habits where you will feel as though something's missing if you don't write. Tip number 2 is be present. This is something a lot of people struggle with. I don't blame them. You know, me myself at times have been drawn into the past or to the future, thinking too far ahead about the project and thinking about how people are going to receive what I've written. But actually, you have to stay present. And remember, you don't write a book, you write pages. And if you break it down even further, you write words. You never have a book at the beginning of the journey. It's all about the attention to detail to each page that you're on. I saw an interview a few years ago, and I believe it was Will Smith, and he was talking about building a house, and he said, if I said to you, go and build a house, you might feel overwhelmed by that task. You might think, you know, how am I going to build a massive big house? And what he said here was that actually, if I said to you, go and lay a brick, there may be a different emotional response. And that's because laying a brick seems more doable than building a house. But essentially what he is saying is to build a house, you have to first lay a brick. And I see writing in the same way. You have to lay one brick and then another brick and then another brick. And then before you know it, you will have a house. In terms of the book, you write one page, then you write another page, then you write another page, and before you know it, you have a chapter. From this point, you keep going, and before you know it, you have a section, and then you keep going, and before you know it, you have a book. But you cannot start at the end of the process. You have to honor where you are right now in the present and give the moment the attention that it deserves and requires for you to write your masterpiece. Number 3, I would say embrace your style. It's very easy for us to compare ourselves to other people and other things that we've read, but just like any journey, when you first start, you're going to be a beginner. And so you have to be willing to make beginner's mistakes. You have to be willing to go through the rough times. You have to be willing to see your weaknesses, see your areas where maybe you're not so strong. It might be your grammar, it may be your spelling. Maybe you don't add enough detail to the scenes that you're writing and they're not visual enough. These are only things that you will learn over time, and you will find that the more you write, the deeper you get into your journey and your process, the more you will discover about your unique style. And I just say to you, embrace your style, because that is what separates you and that's what validates your writing and makes it exactly as it should be. And that's what makes it unique to the reader. Find your voice within each word. They say that there is a certain ear that a writer has where you hear something or you see something visually and then you communicate it in a way that it feels like it's the first time it's ever been said. When you have those moments, you will feel it and you will know that this is right. At several points when I'm writing, sometimes I just get up and stand up and start clapping, and I just have to. There's no one else there to witness what's just happened, and all I've done is written a sentence that to the average person anyone could have written. But when I see how it's all structured together and I know where it's heading and I know where it's come from, I see the bigger picture in that moment and it all makes sense. It's such a beautiful and inspiring experience to go through. And so find your voice, embrace the genius in those moments, and just be very grateful for them when they happen. And my final point number 4, is be patient. There is this tendency that we have, because we live in a microwave society, to want to rush the process. We want to get to the end, we want to get published, we want to have our books on all the bookstores, and we want to do book signings, but we still haven't written that first page. Go through the process knowing that it's a journey and that there are a lot of hidden gems along the journey that you will need to make your writing great. And so you cannot skip that process, and you cannot skip the route that your pen decides to take you. And so I would say just be patient with it. When you become more experienced, you set your own deadlines and you have to honor those deadlines, and you can apply extra pressure to yourself just to keep you sharp, because it can get quite repetitive. But as you're starting out, be patient. If it takes a year, that's great. If it takes 5 years, that's great. If it takes you 10 years, and at the end of it you have something that you can call your own, then it's worth it. Just be patient, stay present, and allow the art to unfold organically. The last thing I will share today is that not everyone is supposed to be a best-selling author. Some people pick up a pen just to clear their thoughts. Some people get the idea of writing because they've seen someone else do it and think, how hard can that be? I want to be an author. They want to have the title author next to their name in their bio. Some people do it for money and fame. And the whole point of those 3 questions, why, what, and how, that I asked earlier on, is that you can identify and see where do you fit into that group of people. And you can challenge your motives from the beginning, because your motives behind your writing is going to be the thing that sustains you and keeps you motivated during those hard times. And so don't skip the steps. Embrace the days where you have too many words going through your mind, too many ideas, and you just cannot seem to make sense of it all and get it down onto paper. Embrace the days where you have no words and you're just staring at that blinking cursor over and over again on a blank page and nothing's coming to you. Embrace the days when you cannot focus, the days where you just want to get it done, but too many distractions, and mainly internal distractions, feeling though you're not worthy, or you're not educated enough, or you're not creative enough. Those voices that go through your head that try to tell you that maybe you're a fraud, and that whole imposter syndrome. Embrace those moments. Embrace the moments where you find yourself comparing yourself to others and feeling inadequate, or feeling as though your writing is not as good as others. Those moments are a part of your journey. And embrace the moments where you want to give up, when you just want to delete everything and start all over, or just give up completely. It's in these difficult times and moments and of feelings and emotions that you discover your voice, and you find the hidden gems between the spaces, the lines, and that blinking cursor. This is where you become a writer. And so yes, over the years, many people have asked me, when you're writing a book, where do you start? And I always say, the beginning. Please pursue your dreams. Don't give up. Challenge your motives. Stay dedicated, be focused, and embrace the magic that can flow through you. I thank you for listening today. I hope that you found this helpful, and I look forward to reading some of your work. If you like what you hear, feel free to subscribe. Until next time, stay blessed, and I wish you better days.